Hello, so here we go again. So this is on the bbc.co.uk website. It's the news website. And here we have a photograph of someone standing in amongst all this cut vegetation. So someone has cut all this down and looks like weeds or something. And the title says, Why People Are Being Asked to rip up invasive plant. So I was expecting an S to be on the end of that. But often in titles, it does become a little bit wooden the way the English is written. There's no full stops.
Yeah.
There's no commas. So it's very titles can be very simplistic. And as I say, the English is rather a bit sort of slightly ungrammatical. It can appear ungrammatical. But when it's a title, that's okay. It's just an outline of the information is what's happening really. Okay, so and down the bottom I can see it mentions Himalayan balsam plants are being removed at sites nationwide due to their threat to other species. So this little bit at the bottom down here, that sort of gives the meaning to the word invasive, or perhaps even invasive plant. So if a plant grows so quickly, or perhaps in certain areas, it can overtake that area and throttle other plants and kill vegetation on a wide scale because it's just so invasive. So invasive sort of comes a little bit from invasion, I think. So let's quickly pop that into the dictionary. So this is Stratford. That's an area in London, besides also being a name. So invasive. So adjective, you you use invasive to describe something undesirable which spreads very quickly and which is very difficult to stop from spreading. So the example phrase using the word invasive is here. So they found invasive cancer during a routine examination. That's just an example sentence there. So there we go. And you can also have an invasive medical procedure. So let's go back to our article. Here we go. So, have you ever seen this plant, Ruslan, at all, do you think? Or so the plant is Himalayan balsam. That's
Himalayan Balsam.
yeah.
To be honest, no, I haven't seen this plant.
Hmm, okay.
Probably I just passed through this plant without pay attention.
Hmm. Yeah, you'd probably pass by it.
Um,
Pass by
yeah,
it.
probably I passed by it, yeah, but
Yeah. So yeah, that's it.
but according to what you said a minute ago,
Hmm.
it looks like we supposed to see this plant around us uh, a lot because this plant spread very quickly and
Hmm. I think this particular one, it's no, just before we started recording, I did mention another plant. So where was that one? So that's up here somewhere, isn't it? So we mentioned Japanese knotweed. Now that plant is extremely invasive, and there's all sorts of legal obligations if you have it in your house, if you have it in your garden, I should say. You've got to notify the local authority, and I'm not. And if you're selling your house, you've got to have a special inspection of your garden to see to make sure you haven't got this in your garden growing. And if you have to take special actions to get rid of it. And it might take a considerable period of time to get rid of it. Not like a week or a day, but it can take years to get rid of Japanese knotweed. It's my understanding. It's such a difficult plant to get rid of. But with Himalayan balsam, this one, it's not quite so bad. It's not quite so bad.
Okay.
That's my understanding. I'm not an expert, so let's. That doesn't mean it's a great plant to have, but it doesn't grow quite so invasively as the Japanese knotweed. So maybe if we read a little bit more about it, we'll hopefully learn a bit more too. So let's see who wrote the article. So this actually comes from the Manchester, or Manchester in particular, I should say, rather than the Manchester. So it was written a few days ago, the length of May. I don't seem to have an author or a journalist. Do you, maybe I'll read the first little bit and then it's over to you to read the next bit. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
So I'll read the first little bit because it's just the two of us today, isn't there? So residents are being invited to help remove a plant from a local park that can cause floods and threaten wildlife. It follows a similar event last year to uproot the Himalayan balsam at Burrs Country Park in Bury. And there's several berries in the UK. There's one called Bury St Edmunds. That's not too far from London. But this Bury here, there's a sort of district of Manchester, and it's called Bury. So here, everyone would immediately assume it's Manchester, basically. So I'll start from here now. So volunteers. So volunteers are sought to remove the plant, which mainly grows along river banks and wet woodland. On 23rd May, during the school half-term holiday, Bury Council said people of all ages, including those with no prior experience, were invited to take part as it's very easy to pick up. As it's very easy to pick up. So that's interesting. What do they mean by it's very easy to pick up? What do they mean? I wasn't expecting them to say that, but what do you think that means? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I guess I know
Yeah.
what it means.
Hmm.
It's actually a pick up. We can replace it like a collect. It's
Hmm. Yeah.
it means take something,
Hmm.
or we can say give a lift, or we can say it's the similar like rip up as
Rip
well.
up. Hmm.
Yeah, rip up.
Hmm. Hmm. It could be that. It could be that. Um, sometimes when you say pick up, so it
Yeah.
could be picking things up from the ground, like there are just some dead plants on the ground and picking them up. It could be that.
Mm,
But sometimes, so if we go back to that photo at the start, clearly this is looks like it's all on the ground and maybe people are just picking this up. But it looks as if someone's cut it down, it's on the ground, and then it needs picking up, putting in a special bags to be taken away and destroyed perhaps, or burnt maybe even. But the other one of the other another way of using pickup, and I think this is the way they're using it, is if you're picking something up, it means you're learning something. You're learning something.
it as
So,
well, yeah.
and that's the other. That seems to be the meaning of this little bit here, as it's very easy to learn. I would say. So let's say pick up. I'd say learn. So it's not complicated to remove this plant, this Himalayan balsam. I think they're saying. So maybe they have to recognize what it looks like, and then they have to use some sort of equipment to get it out of the ground or to cut it down or something.
Yeah,
It,
like a way how to remove it. Yeah, for example,
hmm,
it is
yeah,
easily to pick up the way how to
yeah,
destroy it, how to remove
yeah,
it, how to take away it. Yeah,
yeah. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. It's easy. That's it. Easy to pick it up. Yeah, easy
yeah.
to learn. That's it. So was there anything else there that? that little bit where I just read out that is
Yeah,
quite clear to you?
there is.
Okay.
Yeah, um, I'm not sure about the word
Hmm.
uh, after volunteers sought,
Yeah,
yeah,
sort. Yeah, sort. Yeah.
sought.
Um, so
Oh,
are being looked for. So volunteers are being looked for to remove the plant. So if you're eagerly looking for something, you can say it's eagerly sought. If something is very eagerly being looked for, let's say there's no fudge or no chocolate. Sometimes people love chocolate and maybe it's all sold out. And so you say this particular chocolate is highly sought after, highly looked for, much loved, much enjoyed. Sought. Does that make sense?
yeah,
Sought.
yeah. It's like a eagerly look for. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's it. That's
It,
good.
it's for example, but I guess when I say
Hmm.
I'm thought to have my holiday, it's probably a bit
No.
not natural way to use it in these
Yeah.
sentences, yeah?
Yeah, you wouldn't use it that way. No. No.
Yeah, yeah, it's not. I'm looking forward to have a holiday, I can say,
Yeah,
but
I'm looking
so
forward to my holidays. That's it. Yes. Something like that. Let's just pop it in the dictionary. Invasive. There's it already. So sought. And the very next one is sought after. Is one of the possible often great usages of the word. So sought. So sought is the past tense. Whoops. Of seek. Past tense and past participle of seek. So seek is to look for something.
yes, see, yeah.
I'm seeking a new boss.
Okay,
No, a new
okay.
member of staff, maybe I should say.
See,
Seek. That's all they say about it. Seek. Yeah, 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 is that okay? Seek.
yeah, seek, yeah, it's like a look, a looking for,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, another version of look for basically. Yeah, that's it effectively. Yeah. So
seek,
if you seek something such as a job or a place to
yeah,
live, you try to find one. So look for, pursue, search for, be
search.
after. Yeah, search. Yeah, there's much more of an idea of searching if you're saying seek, I would say, as a verb here. So there's this sentence here. It says the prosecutors have warned they will seek the death penalty. Sometimes you hear that in American trials. They talk about that. Let's look at this one here. This is formal, it says here. So al- always seek professional legal advice entering into before entering into any agreements. Always seek or always look for professional legal advice. Always seek professional legal advice. And here it's more request, invite, ask for, petition. So petition sort of means pretty much the same as ask for, basically. These are all synonyms, of course, of the word seek as a verb. So that's the word, but there's another word, SIHK, KH, I should say. So this is Sikh down here as well, but this is a religion, this bottom one. This is to do with a religion. So it's pronounced the same. These two words are pronounced the same, but totally different meanings.
Yeah,
Makes sense?
pronounce
You've
the
heard of,
same. For
yeah.
example,
If you what, sorry?
if I ill, uh, if I ill, I will tell I'm sick. It's a bit it's the same pronunciation, or
So do you mean if when you say do you mean sick? So if
Sick.
I'm so if you're if
Ah, yeah, yeah, I mean this, but it's
yeah
different, yeah, pronunciation.
yeah
It's
so sick
sick, sick.
sick
Okay,
yeah so seek and
sick,
sick
sick.
yeah yeah
Oh,
similar.
okay,
It's got the vowel sound, similar sort of vowel sound in the middle, isn't it? Seek and sick.
yeah, sick, sick.
Yeah, yeah, that's that. Your sick is perfect at the bottom. Very good. Seek. Seek. Yeah. Okay. Good. Well done. Okay. Not quite. There we go. So I read that little bit there, and so the plant that we're talking about is something called Himalayan balsam. Himalayan balsam. So the Himalayas is that mountain range where the well Mount Everest is the tallest mountain in the world is in the Himalayan mountain range.
Yeah,
And I guess I don't know for certain. Maybe this is the place they discovered that plant. But I can see straight away we've got like a year down here. So I guess it's going to go into the details of it down here. So and that's the bit you're going to read. So this word here is Himalayan.
Himalayan.
Himalayan. It's got the N on the end, but it's very similar to this word here.
Ah,
So you've got an Ayas. So I
mm,
think I've heard some people say Himalayas, some people say Himalayas. So
mm,
probably most people say Himalayas, I would say in the
Himalayan.
UK. But people who've been to India end up saying Himalayas. I've heard a lot of people come back from India and say Himalayas. So there's different ways of saying it. So you may hear both ways of what I'm trying to say, really. Himalayas. But most people in the UK will say Himalayas, I would think.
Mm,
So good luck. You got Himalayas there. And at the beginning, I can see straight away you got Himalayan. So you got one version of the word there and another one there. So good luck.
oh,
Over to you.
that's
You'll go. So
tricky.
I'll
It's
scroll
very
up a little bit and
tricky.
then you'll go.
Mm.
There we go. Over to you.
What is Himalayan balsam? Um, the Himalayan balsam plant is a large annual plant native to the Himalayas and was introduced as an ornament garden plant to the UK in 1839. The fragrant pink and purple plant grows fast and flowers between July and November. A single plant can produce hundreds of seeds with pods propelling seeds up to 7 meters 23 foot with the seeds flushing down water and surviving for 2 years. It can block waterways, increasing the risk of floods.
Yes, nice read. Nice read.
Yeah, thanks.
Maybe I'll read it back. Let's have a
Okay.
quick look at the photo.
Oh, it's green one. It's young.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I saw a lot of like
Mm.
this young plant
Oh,
on a
oh, when you
forest.
were young, you mean? When you were young or when the plant was young?
I mean, uh, in a front of
Mm.
me, this screen, yeah, it is
Mm.
young plant of Himalayan balsam, yeah,
Um,
I
I
guess
can't
so.
tell. I can't tell.
Ah,
But I would say it springs up like this every year. So I
Ah,
think this is just a yearly growth. So each year it does something like this. It looks like this. And maybe in winter time, I think it said the word annual earlier on. And if something's an annual, it sort of means I would take that to mean it grows up every year. So a lot of it might disappear during the winter. I'm guessing this sort of they're saying. And it sort of
yeah,
grows again each year, but bigger, I suppose, much bigger each year, I guess. So I
okay.
should know that really, but I don't really know for certain.
Yeah, okay. I just want to tell that
Mm.
I'm aware of this plant. Yeah, I know. I
Mm.
know. It's yeah. What is this?
It does look, for looking at just the leaves here, it does look a lot like what's known as a hydrangea plant, a hydrangea. So the leaves of a hydrangea look very similar to this. They both look quite similar because on the edge of the leaf, it's serrated, so it's got this sort of very sharp looking edge, sort of serrated edge. It's not a smooth edge, is it? It's got serrations in it, little cuts. Can you see what I'm
Yeah,
pointing
yeah.
out?
It's true. Yeah.
So that's sort of a serrated leaf, a serrated edge to the leaf, which is very similar to, apparently, as I understand it, plants in very wet areas, if it's very wet, it rains a lot, they tend to have this sort of serrated edge. So it just helps the water drip off the edge of it, as I understand, and a very pointed tip as well, like that. So a lot of plants can have this, but it's normally in wet regions of the world where it grows. So just because the leaf looks like that, you need to be careful a little bit. So that's the plant. So let me read it back anyway.
Mm.
So what is Himalayan balsam? And it's describing it now, isn't it? So the Himalayan balsam plant is a large annual plant native to the Himalayas and was introduced as an ornamental garden plant to the UK in 1839. So it's almost 200 years old in this country, we might say. Not quite. So I think when you read it out, you read out just that little bit there. So you said an ornament garden plant. So you missed out the ul but there.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. It can be
Yeah, so we'd normally just say ornamental garden plant. So you sort
ornamental.
of have to say
Mm.
the all bit there, ornamental.
Okay,
So
ornamental. Yeah.
that's it, ornamental. So if I read the next paragraph, that's a very short one, or sentence even. So the fragrant pink and purple plant grows fast and flowers between July and November. So is that okay? Anything there you want to go back over again? There's two.
Fragrant. Yeah, fragrant.
Mm. So,
Um,
mm,
yeah,
very nice smelling,
it can be
fragrant.
food as well, for example.
Yeah, yeah. And so you might say that's a very nice fragrance. So I've changed the ending a little bit. That's a very nice fragrance. Yeah, smell is very nice. That's it.
Okay,
Or
okay.
your partner, fiance, or girlfriend might have on a fragrant. She's wearing a fragrant,
Uh, but
basically a perfume. You might not
perfume,
normally say perfume, but you could occasionally say fragrant
perfume. But
perfume.
aromat, it's actually for the perfume as well. Yeah, aromat.
Yeah, perfume. So that's the word perfume there. So let's actually quick look at perfume and see if they then say fragrant next to it perhaps as a synonym or something. I've used the capital P, so that might come up different. So parfum. So they have two ways of pronouncing it here. So let's quickly listen to how they say it.
perfume,
That's the most common way I hear, and this one is
perfume,
perfume. Okay, that's true. There it is A2. So this is an advanced word. So surprise, surprise, it has fragrance. Fragrance with a CE ending. So scent, essence,
Mm,
incense.
yeah, a lot, a lot.
Mm.
Right.
So a half sentence here, as an example, it says, a delicate white soap without perfume. That's the word perfume, of course. We're talking about fragrant, aren't we, really?
Yeah,
Okay,
fragrant. Yeah, okay, okay.
back again. Um,
Mm.
it's a little bit confusing, this very short sentence here, because it talks about it being fragrant, and then it says pink and purple, but look down at the
Yeah,
photo and it's just green, isn't it?
yeah, it's actually there is about smell and
Yes.
then about color as well.
Mm. Pink and purple, and it grows fast.
Mm.
But no, most people realize the smell or the aroma, the fragrance, really comes from the flowers.
Ah,
And so it really, it's basically just assuming we all realize, but maybe we don't, that the flowers are going to have the smell, but they're also going to have the colors too. So the
mm.
flowers have the pink and purple. So I'm sure if we scroll down, they have to have a photo of it with the flat. Oh, they don't. My goodness, I'm genuinely surprised. At the top, I think there was. Here we go. Here we go. They do have a photo with it. So this one clearly is in bloom. So when you can see the flowers, you can say it's in bloom. It's in bloom.
It's in balloon,
Yeah. Or it's blooming, another way of putting it. This,
blooming. Yeah, it's actually the period of blooming. Yeah.
yeah, that's right. So
Mm.
spring, you could say, is the period of is blooming, is the blooming season, possibly you might say.
Yeah.
So most plants put out flowers in springtime, and obviously a lot of them sort of stretch out over the whole of summer because we love to look at flowers. So we've picked out the flowers that have the most beautiful colours, the most beautiful scents, and they show their flowers for the longest period of time. So we've picked out those flowers for our gardens. But in nature, they can be quite short-lived, the flowers, can't they, really? In real life, sort of thing. Okay, so let's scroll back down to where we were. So there we are. So we saw the pink and purple flowers up above. And we also now know that they flower between July and November, which is very late in the year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, yeah.
So let me
For
read the next.
yeah. Yeah.
Let me read
Okay.
the next couple of bits and ask any questions there too. So a single plant can produce hundreds of seeds with pods propelling seeds up to 7 meters, 23 foot, with the seeds floating down water and surviving for 2 years. It can block waterways, increases the risk of floods. Increasing the risk of floods.
Yeah.
Anything you want to
Actually,
ask
the
about that a
last
bit more?
sentences yeah is pretty clear.
Mm.
Yeah, because this plant has roots uh, which block the waterway in a
Mm.
soil. Yeah, like this probably.
Yeah, it could be
It,
that, but it does also talk about seeds floating down water. And I'm sure earlier on it said something about um, blocking rivers or something, I think. That's the implication. I can't remember exactly how it put it now. So it might be that it tends to grow next to rivers. That's my assumption.
uh, say
It likes lots of water, and it tends to really grow very well, perhaps along the river or a stream or something. And when the seeds blow up into the air 7 odd meters, that's incredibly high, being shot up 7 meters into the air. And if they land in the water, they can be spread right the way further down the river or the water or the stream or the stream of water.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Mm. And the seeds
flo-
live can live for a long time as well
yes.
in the right conditions. Shall we scroll on?
Uh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, we saw that there. I can see some other things, different things growing in the background. These are other things growing in the background here, it seems. But in the middle there, that's the balsam down there, Himalayan balsam.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It does say there that Himalayan balsam is popular with bees due to its nectar.
Bees due
So
to its
bees,
nectar.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, I understand, but there is
Mm.
no flowers at, on these plants.
Yeah, so maybe they've got the wrong photo, I would say,
Ah,
if they're then going to talk about bees, because you really want to have, as you say, some flowers. But in the very top photo, if I flick over, I've got it here, haven't I? So was it this one? Oh no, not
y-
that one. But the one at the very top where the plants have been cut down,
yeah, there
you
is.
can we can see it there, and I presume that these must be very attractive to the bees, I guess. And they
Yeah,
say,
definitely.
and I think they mentioned that it came here in 1839, and they obviously brought it from Japan, or I say Japan, I don't know exactly where it came from, presumably the Himalayas or the Himalayas, I think it said. So it came from the, um, around that area. And I suppose it was brought back because the flowers looked so beautiful and smelt so wonderful,
Mm,
I guess. There was a reason. It wasn't brought back by accident, sort of thing. So let's scroll down back to where we were. So we saw this photo. So what is nectar?
nectar.
Yeah.
It's actually a nectar. Yeah,
Mm.
it's like a small liquid in a
Mm.
plant, in not
Yes.
in a plant, in a flower of plant,
Mm.
which comes in a period of blooming.
Mm. That sounds pretty good. Yes. So nectar often or normally comes from plants, particularly their flowers, and so this will be in the period when they're in the spring when they're flowering. That's it, or
Yeah,
blooming
when
perhaps.
they flowering. Yeah,
Yeah.
and bees,
Mm.
bees, yeah,
Bees.
tend
Hmm.
uh, attract attracted to
Mm.
pick up
Yes.
nectars from from flowers.
Mm.
I'm
Exactly.
I'm right here. Yeah,
Yes, that's it.
am
Yes.
I right?
Yeah. Yeah. Spot on. That's it.
Yeah, sweet liquid. Yeah,
Yeah. So so when it's something is sweet, normally there's lots of energy in it. So the sweet flavor, we when we taste something sweet, like as in sugar, it means there's actually lots of energy in it for us. So that's
yeah,
what, and it's very attractive to us and obviously the bees as well.
yeah. But from
Mm.
nectar, bee bees able produce the honey. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I believe so. Yes. Yeah.
I know in our
Yeah.
country,
Mm.
when sunflowers
Mm.
in a blooming time, it smell
In spring, it's yeah.
in spring. Yeah, it's actually has a fragrant
Mm.
fragrant around the field.
Mm. So you could say that the so so when the sunflowers are blooming, there's a very particular fragrance in the air. You could say
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So you everybody recognizes that particular aroma, or everyone real knows that it's the sunflowers are blooming, you might say, because everyone recognizes it.
it's,
Something along those lines could be used. Yeah. The other way the word nectar is used is that in ancient times, people used to think that the gods in heaven, and this is particularly the Greek gods as I understand it, they believed that they drank nectar as that was their water almost. That's what they drank. And also that their food was ambrosia. It mentions it here. I don't know quite know where it mentions it. So they drank nectar and they ate ambrosia just for interest.
it's actually, yeah, it sound
Hmm.
when you read it that this is
Yeah.
drink for the gods. Yeah, it
Yeah, that's it. Drinks for the gods, exactly. Yes.
sounds amazing. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's go back here then. Okay, so oh, this is new then, isn't it? So I think you read the last one, didn't you? I think. Did you read the last one?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, so I'll read this little chunk here.
yeah.
So rapid growth leads to tall balsam plants that crowd out native species, preventing their access to light, moisture, and nutrients. Himalayan balsam can also take over the banks of rivers, streams, and ditches. With shallow roots, the plants erode soil stability. However, the nectar-rich flowers are popular with bees and beekeepers. So events have been taking place nationwide to remove the balsam because of its threat to native wildlife and habitats. Yeah, so it does say here about banks of rivers, streams, and ditches. So
Yeah,
Himalayan balsam can take over. So if you take something over, you sort of completely control it pretty much. So it takes over the riverbanks basically.
uh,
So we go on some of those walks that I'm sure you're well aware, and often when we go go along the rivers, there are an amazing you can't really see the river because there's things growing up in front of it. So maybe sometimes it is Himalayan balsam. Maybe it is.
Himalayan.
But I
Yeah,
hopefully people are removing it nowadays. So anything you want to ask about that there? The pronunciation or the meanings? Any words you not come across?
yeah. Rapid grow. It's actually like a quick, fast
Yes.
grow. Yeah,
Yeah,
fast.
that's it. That's it. If something's rapid, you can say it's very fast. Yeah.
Yeah, but can I say, for example, I was rapid? Yeah, no.
Um, no, you wouldn't. You might say we rapidly sorted out all the problems.
Uh,
We don't often say we walked rapidly. You could say that, I suppose, but yeah. But you wouldn't say I was rapid. I suppose you could do, but yeah. Perhaps I'm being too dictatorial.
oh, yeah,
So let's perhaps put rapid in there and get some ideas. So have I spelled it correctly? I have. Rapid acceleration, rapid adoption, rapid advances, rapid. So they have it as a B2. A rapid change is one that happens very quickly. Adjective. So that they say it in this case it's sudden, prompt, speedy. So you might do a job for someone rapidly, And you might talk about moving in your car very rapidly, but more often
Okay.
it's in the idea of sudden, prompt, precipitate. So something that's precipitate, it's you could say basically it's sudden. It's done almost immediately, or it happens almost immediately, pretty much. So this is
Okay.
so it's to do with speed, swiftness, doing something quickly, swiftness, promptness, speediness.
Yeah. Okay.
A rapid movement is one that's very fast. So an adjective. Okay, let's go back to where we were. Okay, rapid. Yeah, anything else there?
Mm. Uh, I just would like make sure that my pronunciation of species is okay. Yeah,
Pretty,
species,
pretty good. Yeah, species, species.
species. It is like a kind of yeah.
Yeah, a
Species.
type of. Normally it's about
Um,
plants or creatures. Yeah,
yeah,
plants,
type.
species.
S-
A type
species.
of. Yeah,
Um,
species. Let's pop it in the dictionary. Oops. So species, barrier, complex, composition, delimitation, disappear, diversity.
species.
Species diversity. I've clicked the search button. So let's listen to them saying it.
species, species,
Yeah, species.
Yeah, species. That's pretty good, yes. So I'm just looking. So they got, it says species there,
It looks like a plural, yeah, or
and it says, well, yeah, they say word forms, and this is the other word form. So let's listen to how they say it. So this is one species. This is the first one, is this one here,
species,
and the other word form is this one.
species,
Exactly the same. So I don't know why they put it up there twice. So pandas are an endangered species. Pandas are an endangered species. So they're sort of dying out. Pandas are dying out. And the other one says there are several thousand species of trees here. There are several thousand species of trees here. Let's listen to the little robot saying it.
There are several thousand species of trees here.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah,
yes.
exactly as you said,
Hmm.
type is here. So
Yeah.
kind, sort, and this is the other kind of sort. We had we had
Oh,
seek previously, didn't we? The one that means seek or look for. But this is the
yeah,
other
yeah.
sort. So there's two ways of spelling that sort as well, isn't there? So group, yeah, group. Okay. So sometimes we do talk about non-living things as a species sometimes, but often it's to do with living creatures, a species. But it doesn't absolutely have to be. So you're pretty good in that. Do you want to say that as that last half a line there again, maybe? So I'll read it to you, just as you did. So plants that crowd out native species, native species. Your go.
Plants that crowd out native species.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Mm, yeah.
I was going to say about the that. So that.
That, that,
Yeah,
that crowd.
that's pretty good. Let's get in there. Definitely get in there. Anything
Mm.
else?
Uh, yeah, yeah. Actually, yeah. Last sentences.
Hmm.
Place nationwide. Yeah, nationwide.
Nationwide. That's it. That's pretty.
Nationwide.
Yeah, that's good. You got it now. That's it. You
But
can pretty
how
much
about,
guess. You can guess that one, I think, from the
yeah,
meaning,
it's
from what
actually,
I've said.
yeah, it's white. Yeah, I understand. Nation,
Hmm.
like, not homemade. No, no. Mm,
Really, the word gives its meaning away, I would say. The words there, it's sort of a
mm,
compound word. Technically, it's not really. Is it a compound word? I think it is a compound word, isn't it? So,
mm,
nationwide attention, nationwide ban. If something's banned, this has been banned, and it's been banned nationwide. It just means it's been banned everywhere in this nation. I think that's really what I would say it means. So, nationwide activities, or anything really, nationwide activities or situations happen or exist in all parts of a country. All parts of a country. She's looking at this word nationwide, isn't she? That lady there. So an example sentence is this one here. So the rising numbers of car crime is a nationwide problem. So it's a problem everywhere in our country. That's what you could say. And the last one says the strikes by teachers, which is nationwide. So there's a nationwide strike, teachers' strike, a nationwide teachers' strike. So they're saying it means as a synonym general, widespread, country. Countrywide is another way of putting it, isn't it, really? So rather than nationwide, it's countrywide. Okay.
it's mean not worldwide. It means just inside one particular country. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. You can pretty much say that. Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if people exactly are thinking no other countries are affected by this same thing. They may or may not be. That's not really the issue. It's more just we're just thinking about this one problem at the moment. So in this case here, it's Himalayan balsam. So we're just saying nationwide, everywhere is affected by it. I think they're sort of saying, aren't they? To some degree or other. Other countries may have it too, but we're not thinking about that at the moment. We're just thinking about here. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Yeah. So it's all the way to the south, all the way to the north, all the way to the west, all the way to the east. It's sort of pretty much everywhere. Pretty much. I'm surprised that there's a B too, but there we go. I'm sure they're right. And
Mhm.
habitats.
Habitats.
Mm,
Habitats.
yeah.
Mm.
So we've got habit,
Habit. Yeah, I know.
and then it
It's
says habitat. So is that a help or is that misleading?
actually, I guess it is a help because it's like a habit, and habitus
Yeah.
it is like a it's a similar, but I can't explain to be honest.
Okay. So you could say that it's about wildlife, it's about creatures. So you could say something like maybe, but not. It's probably not exactly true, but a way of remembering it might be. So these creatures or animals have the habit of living in a particular habitat. So they just like to live in a particular place, like worms. Those little squiggly worms like to live in the soil. So they don't really like to live in water so much or on dry ground, like to live inside the soil. And you could say, obviously, that
Mm,
swans like to they nest. They have a nest. They lay eggs on a nest, and often they live near or on water. Swans, the bird, they're called swans. So not necessarily in a tree, but in a nest on the ground. I think swans live, don't they? Other birds, their habitat might be in trees.
yeah, yeah, it's actually yeah,
Different things live in different places. Let's just
yeah,
quickly
like
look to see where swans have their nests. I don't know quite why I said that, but Swan's nest. So I'll just quickly tap that into Bing. So it's Bing says swan. Yeah, so it's on the ground here. You can see here though. So the nests tend to be near water, but basically on the ground, but in the water. These photos are very good for these swans, actually, which is a bit unusual. Why would a bird be on the ground making a nest on the ground? But they're so big. Swans are very big birds that they sort of have to, really.
Yeah, yeah, okay. It's
So
like,
I think,
for example, a very stupid example, like a fish should be in the water, should be in a river.
yeah, their
Should,
habitat is water. Yeah, that's right. But so
yeah,
you could say some fish, their habitat is fresh water. Other fish, it's salt water or the sea, because
yeah,
often often fish cannot go between one or the other. They have to they live one in one or the other normally. But sometimes when they're young, they may grow up in fresh water and then go to salt water as they get older.
yeah,
There's a lot of habitats are really very important, and if we pollute them or we have Himalayan balsam choking the area, it does sort of change the habitats, and certain creatures can't live there anymore, I guess. So I think we had this word before. So beekeepers is that fairly obvious what it means? I think
yeah.
yeah,
I know what this means. It's like a
yeah.
shopkeepers. It's like a big keeper, big keepers. Yeah,
So really, what you've done is you've broken the rules there. So you've used the exact same word to explain what it is. You just basically said beekeepers are beekeepers. So yeah, so a beekeeper looks after bees,
yeah,
and
yeah,
they make sure that their home, they've got like a nice home, and of course their reward for looking after the bees is that they take the honey whenever it's
yeah,
appropriate, I guess.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I've scrolled on. So I think I read that one. So you've either got big one or a short one. Do you want to read whichever one you want to read, or read them both? Whatever you want, really.
Okay. Okay, if you can, would you mind to read this one? Yeah,
Hmm.
and I will read the last one.
You'll read the last one.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll read this first one then. Okay. So, is it an offence to grow them? The Royal Horticultural Society says it is not an offence to have the plant growing in your garden or land if you're not intentionally keeping, cultivating or spreading it. Environmental authorities can order control measures if they think it is necessary. Interesting. So anything you want to ask about that?
yeah. A bit about meaning. Uh, yeah, if you are not intentionally keeping, it means that you did not grow it specially. Yeah, it's just
Yes, yes. It just
yeah,
happens to be there.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And
So
then
it might be that you hate your neighbors or something, so you're growing it to annoy your neighbors. And I think the implication is it's illegal, I suppose, there. But so, I suppose it must be growing in numerous places, many places, and people just don't know what it is. Yeah. So you're going to say something else, I think, there?
yeah, then, in your sentences, I heard the words implication or
Yes, that's good. Yeah, implication. That's right. Imply or implication. So it doesn't exactly say it's illegal in this. It doesn't say anywhere it's illegal, does it?
yeah,
But
yeah.
when you say if,
If
I think there's four different meanings to the word if. So it isn't 100% clear to me exactly what they're saying. So it might simply be, well, it's not a clear statement of what they're saying here that it's illegal to do what they're doing there. It's not saying that
Yeah. Okay.
to my mind, but maybe I'm misreading it. So,
Implication, it means like by mistake, yeah? No, or
not,
how?
oh, sorry, yeah, not really. So
Because I'm a bit confused with this.
have I spelled it correctly? No, was the Y? There we go. So it's the word Y. So that's sorry, that's imply. I should say there imply, but Asian on the end of it, so it obviously changes it a
Mhm.
little bit. So hopefully they'll put on the screen. So if
Yeah.
you imply something, you don't state it in an exact, explicit way. You don't exactly state it, but you sort of reasonable logic says, "Oh, you must mean such and such a thing." So there's a indicate or hint, yes, sort of an idea of hint, I suppose, or there's an idea of it's being a suggestion. So the written meaning here is if you imply that something is the case, you say something which indicates that it is the case in an indirect way. That's really the point, isn't it? So you're not directly saying it, you're indirectly saying it. So when you say something indirectly, you're implying it.
Yeah, indirectly, yeah. Okay, it's like a predict, yeah, a bit of prediction, no?
Not sort of, but not exactly prediction. So
Yeah,
let's look at the example sentences then.
yeah.
So she felt undermined by the implied criticism. So in this sort of situation here, it sounds like didn't like what somebody said.
Mm,
In other words, she felt
mm,
undermined. She felt that people were sort of doing her harm with
yeah,
what they were
yeah,
saying,
okay, okay.
but they didn't directly criticize her. They said something in an indirect way.
Yeah, okay, like a hint, yeah, a
There
bit.
was a hint at it. There was a hint
Mm,
at being criticized. Yes.
yeah, yeah,
So
okay.
in an office, it can be quite
Common
tricky
thing.
to give a direct criticism, but there's often a lot of indirect criticism, I suppose you might say. So let's
Yeah.
look at the other example sentence. So this one says, "Are you implying that I have something to do with those attacks?" she asked coldly. So are you implying that I
Yeah.
have something to do with those attacks? She asked coldly.
Okay, it's actually, yeah, I
Mm,
need to remember this word, yeah, because it
yeah,
actually
imply.
means a lot.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's help express your thoughts clearly.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah,
So let's
yeah.
look at the next one down as well then. So if an event or situation implies that something is the case, it makes you think that it is likely that it is the case. It's quite possible that something is the case. So let's look at the example sentence. So exports, I guess this is to do with economics and what the country exports, I suppose. So exports in June rose 1.5%, implying that the economy was stronger than many investors thought. Yeah.
It's like here looks like some small evidence, yeah, a bit kind
Yeah,
of evidence
that's it. That's a
implying.
good way of looking at it. It's good evidence to indicate something.
Yeah,
It seems to indicate something. It's got indicate up here as a possible synonym, isn't it? For the previous version. So the other sentence says a high fat intake. So this is your to do with your what we eat, I think, isn't it, and diet. So a high fat intake nearly always implies a low fiber intake. So eating one thing implies that something else, you're not eating something enough of something else. I guess is what saying. Too much of one thing implies you're eating not enough of something else.
Yeah,
So so if you're eating a lot of bacon or something, or lots of meat, you love having lots of meat in your diet. I guess you have to think, well, they can't be eating much else. There's not much time to eat other foods, so it doesn't directly state that they're not eating enough fiber. It doesn't directly state it, but it sort of hints at, suggests.
yeah, like a suggest. Yeah, okay, okay.
So that they, in the sense, it means likely. It's the sense that it's likely the case. It's highly likely, possibly. Okay, let's get back to our article. Okay, so I did this one, and I suppose we've still got quite a few more to get. Oh, we're almost at the end actually, so maybe we'll just finish on this one here.
Yeah,
So over to
okay.
you.
Uh, how can I remove them? Yeah, how can I remove them? It is possible to remove Himalayan balsam by using oil to root out seedlings and young plants on a warm or windy day. When exposed, roots dry out quickly and die. You can also trim it with secateur or mower. Uh, uh, ide- Ideally below the first note on the stem to reduce regrow. Regrow. Another option is pulling out the whole plant along with the root system during spring and early summer when plants are still relatively short. If none of the above is possible, the R RH recommends hiring a specialist with control contractor.
Mm,
Control,
yes,
yeah,
yeah, that's it. That's
yeah,
good.
it's, yeah,
Let me read that last one for you again.
yeah,
Last bit there. So, if none of the above is possible, the RHS recommends hiring a specialist weed control contractor.
contractor.
Yeah, contractor.
Yeah, contractor, yeah. Mm,
The words I noticed as you were reading out, I would say were, so in the title, we've got that one there, and it's just there too, just below it.
yeah,
So you were slightly better when you said it here. So it's the V bit where it's a bit weak, I would say. So remove, remove.
r-
Should we give it another go?
remove, remove.
Mhm.
No, not really. Yeah. Remove.
Uh, Maybe it's the microphone or just the
Mm,
way Zoom is working. When you get to about here somewhere, your voice seems to die away a little bit.
mm,
But it also happened when you were reading this sentence as well. Just in this sentence, when you got to about the halfway through the O, you sort of disappear here.
mm,
Um, so we do have to. I think pretty much every single time you see a V, you really have to pronounce it in some way or other. Um, so I don't think there's any silent V's. I don't think there is in English. There may be the odd one, I suppose, but so every time you see it, it has to be quite clear. So maybe I'm not saying it very loudly myself. So maybe we'll put it in the dictionary in a moment. So let's do that. So I think you said it slightly slowly. So you were saying remove. Yeah, I think that's okay too. Sometimes people will say it slowly that way, but for the most part, most people say remove, remove.
remove,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That sounds pretty good. Remove and again remove.
remove.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. That's definitely it. That's definitely it.
Yeah, it's
So
difficult to say it for me.
yeah,
Remove.
yeah, yeah. I know, I know, I know. So whenever a Brit sees a V, we always pronounce it because it may be a bit weaker sometimes than others, but it's always said with a reasonable certain amount of strength. So so this is their code for how to pronounce it here, and you can see there's the V symbol at the end. So it's reasonably well pronounced. This is the same sort of level of sound of all the other letters, pretty much. So let's listen to her. I assume it's a lady. So here we go.
remove,
V. It's definitely a V towards the end, yes.
It's
Yeah,
actually true, yeah.
yeah. So, okay, so let's go back where we were. So, so this is a bit of a tricky word
Oh,
there.
yeah.
So it's a garden tool. This is a garden
Mm.
tool. And really, 90% of the time, it's used when you're trying to get weeds out of the ground. Weeds. And you could say that Himalayan balsam is a kind of a weed, basically, but it's a really big one and a bad one. And so it's a hoe. It's pronounced as hoe. Hoe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So you could say the E is sort of silent in a way, but often when an English person sees an E at the end, most English people think, oh, it makes the O go long. It makes it say its name. That's how I was always told. So whenever
mm.
not always, but often when there's an E on the end, the letter O just says O. So this is H-O. So it's ho, ho. So I'm saying O when I get to the O basically. So the E
Oh,
often affects the. So ho. Again, sorry, once again.
oh,
Yeah, that's it. Ho. Yeah, ho.
oh.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
S-
CD.
So American rappers, if you heard of American rappers, they sometimes sing about their hoe, and basically that's short for whore or prostitute or sex
Oh,
worker.
really?
But that's something completely different. So this is a
Mhm.
gardening tool.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. Understand. Yeah, it's gardening tools.
yeah. So when an American rapper talks about their hoe, it's a different spelling and a completely different meaning. Okay. And the other tricky word I think was this one.
Sorry, Tony.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tony, what was something with my connection or probably with your? Can
Oh,
you say something?
I I am talking.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Now is okay.
Oh, maybe it cut out for a moment, I guess. Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I hear that with you that all of a sudden there's silence and I thought you were going to say something. So
Ah,
it's strange. I don't know what it is, but
okay.
so so I've highlighted another word here, the last word
Okay.
on this sentence. So seedlings, seedlings.
Links.
So basically the meaning here is that it's just come out of the seed. So it's a seed normally put in the ground, and little shoots come out the top, and some shoots go down the bottom, and the shoots when they go down to the bottom normally point downwards, and they're sucking up the water, and they're the roots. So a
Yeah,
seedling is a very, very small plant. It's just coming out of the seed, it's just coming out of the soil, and it may just be inches or even smaller than that, seedlings.
seedling. Yeah, okay,
A
okay,
small
yeah.
plant, very small plant. So not mature,
Not mature, yeah.
just almost just born, effectively, you might say, just coming out of the ground.
Yeah.
And then to add to it, it then says in the next line, young plants. So it's
Young
basically a
plants,
young
yeah,
plant,
yeah, young
a young
plants.
plant.
Mm, yeah, how about this as a say
Hmm. These words.
secular,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, you were really good on that. So I say secateur, secateur, secateur. So it sounds French, doesn't it? So it's like a pair of scissors you take into the garden to cut plants where you don't like something. On the end of it, you cut it off, sort of thing.
yes,
So it's
secular. It is like a big scissors, no?
it could be small ones too, but yeah, secateur. Yeah.
Secular, yeah. Okay,
I normally
okay.
put an S on it. I normally have an S on the end of it. Secateurs,
Yeah,
secateurs. But maybe I'm saying it wrong.
in our language, in Ukrainian language, it is a bit similar, yeah.
Yeah. So
Secular, yeah, secular,
sec,
secular.
so let's. Oops, I missed out the R. So let's. Oh, they've put it back on for me. That's good. So so they're saying it's another name for the same thing, but with an S on the end. So with an S on the end, without the S, it means the same thing. So it's a little bit like scissors. So there's an S on the end of scissors. We don't normally
Um,
say, pass me the scissor, but I suppose you could say that maybe. But so it is the same sort of thing, really. So secateurs. So let's look at secateurs then. Oh, it's down here, isn't it? So I've clicked on that anyway. So often a pair, that's true. So it's like a pair of scissors, it's a pair of secateurs. So they're like gardening scissors, really. So let's listen to how they say it.
secateurs,
Secateurs.
it
Yeah.
is secateurs.
Strong, heavy scissors, it says there. Yes, basically.
Yeah.
But in America, they might say pruning shears. Pruning shears. Pruning shears. Yes, okay, that's good. Let's go back to where we were. I don't think I've ever used that in the UK. So that's like a pair of scissors. So what's this one? So I'm going to say the word, but you have to describe what it is. So
Yeah,
this is a mower. What is a
yeah, it's
mower?
actually the same things, I guess,
Hmm.
uh, but it's the same thing like a cut, something, yeah, but it's like a some machine, yeah.
Hmm. So
Uh,
it cuts things and it's a machine. Yeah, that's pretty
it's
much it.
like a
Yeah.
grass machine, a grass cutted machine, yeah.
Yes. Often, most of the time, it cuts grass. That's it. Yes. But I suppose they're saying that you might put a mower over the seedlings, over these young plants to cut them down, I think is what they're saying. So it's not grass in this case, but yeah.
Y-
So
Yeah.
I've heard of people occasionally using a mower to cut, say, a rose bush. So you drive over a rose bush. As you've cut it,
Yeah.
it's a very gash way of doing it, but you've got it down to the ground level, and next year it will grow up again. Yeah. So yeah,
Mm,
need quite a
yeah.
strong mower too. It has to be like a one you sit on and ride it, I guess. But yeah, you're right, absolutely right. It's a mechanical cutter, basically. Spot on, exactly. So maybe these last couple of words here, last few words.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Stem, it is like a root, yeah? It's not like
kind
a,
of, yeah, pretty much,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I,
It's
I tend to, I
because
tend, mm,
root under soil, yeah,
mm.
but it's actually the part what above soil, yeah,
Yes, that's it.
still,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah. That's what I think of it. Yeah. So a stem is the bit that grows up, you could say.
Sorry, say it again, Tony.
It's the bit that is growing up.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it. Most plants grow up, don't they? So that's it.
Mm.
So yeah. Um,
Regrowth. Yeah, it's like
yes.
grow again. Yeah, regrow.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, your th is pretty good, but it could be a little bit stronger. So I just say the word again. So I might overdo the th a little bit. So perhaps don't be quite as strong as me. So and it is quite tricky because there's only two vowels in the whole word, one there and one there. So it is tricky. So regrowth,
Re
regrowth.
regrow. Regrowth.
The last one sounded a little bit like an F, but yeah, it's okay. It's okay. You're getting there. That's it. So regrowth, regrowth.
Uh, regrow. Regrowth.
Yeah,
Regrowth.
you'll get it. So I'm all I'm doing once again is I'm just touching the back of my teeth with my tongue at the top. That's the very last thing I do with that whole word sort of thing. And so yeah, you'll get it. Sometimes you've got it, sometimes you slip up. So it's just that's just normal. Just be aware of it, and you'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
Um, anything else in these last couple of bits here to go over?
Yeah,
That
not
was
really. Yeah, yeah. It's okay.
okay. That was good. So maybe for completeness, I'll
Yeah,
just read
you.
the last bit
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
'Cause
It's
we're
yeah.
almost
It's
down
okay.
there now. So push at the end now. So it says, how do I dispose of it? Destroy them on site, but do not put Himalayan balsam in waste bins. If removal is necessary, the Environment Agency needs to be informed, and you may use a registered waste carrier and an authorized disposal site. Contact the Environment Agency or your council for details of authorized sites. There we go. Anything there?
Yeah, about a bit slightly of meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with words, it is okay. But about the meaning,
Mm-hmm.
what they actually telling us in this that we can't put this uh, plants in a bin. Yeah.
Yeah, that seems to be what it's saying. Yeah, so you
Okay.
can't put
And
them in the bin in waste bins. So,
yeah, and next sentences is about
mm-hmm.
we need tell the authority that
Yeah,
we're gonna uh, rip up of this plant.
yes.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
And it seems they will then tell you who the registered waste carrier is,
For example, where
whoever they are.
we
Yeah.
need throw away it, yeah? Or no, no.
Um, well, the waste carrier, so that must be the people with the skip, maybe, or some sort of a special lorry that takes it away, the dead or the dying Himalayan balsam,
Mm,
and they must presumably take it to a very specific
yeah,
disposal site.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
I know sometimes you have people who do sort of horticultural work or they work in gardens. When they're
Yeah.
destroying plants, they put it into a shredder sometimes. And I wonder if they're going to do that or will they avoid doing that? Because sometimes putting something into a shredder makes it very small, but it might also spread it around a little bit too. So when I say shredder, do you know what I mean? A shredder?
Shredder, it's like a machine as well, yeah?
Yeah, another machine, yes.
Shredder. it's actually cut a big tree in a small piece of wood. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. So
Uh,
these are the first thing it shows is like an office shredder. So these are the machines you might want to get. You might have a bank statement. You want to destroy it because it has important numbers on it.
yeah.
Office
I
shredder. So
wish
I
I
say
had
garden. Yeah.
like you said. Yeah.
So I said garden. I say garden waste. So, but this would be a small one, I think. Well, this
Yeah. It's.
these are very small ones here, but it's still £100. But if you get rid of a tree, so this might be in the back of a lorry or something. This
Yeah.
will be
Yeah. Yeah.
huge, and
Yeah.
this presumably cost £1,000, I should imagine. But I think this is exactly what you don't use if you've got Himalayan balsam because you're making it
Actually, now.
all those little pieces might grow again. It's possible, not all of them, but some of them may well grow again. So I think you're better keeping it as one piece. It's easier to transport, but maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to give advice because there's legal implications if I give advice.
Yeah,
Because it says,
actually, now I understand. I understood why uh, one with a shredder.
mm,
How I say?
mm.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I will skip it. Yeah, because it's.
So the shredder could help spread the
Yeah,
Himalayan balsam
yeah,
or anything else you're putting in there. So you
yeah,
could it
yeah.
could actually make it worse. And of course, which is similar to putting it in waste bins. So you're sort of spreading it around. So waste bins,
Yeah, actually,
they're
it's
not really
true.
meant for that, are they?
Yeah, because there is can be seeds some, yeah, and when
Yeah,
people
that's very
remove
true.
from the beans,
Mm.
it can
Or fall out. Yeah.
fall out, yeah, and yeah, yeah.
And of course, it, it may go on a waste site and be on the surface for 6 months before it blows away into the surrounding area. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, very very risky, isn't it? So I'd be interested to know what they do at an authorized site. Do they burn it, or do they
Mm.
I don't know, or do they have some other process by just making it so that it won't grow and won't spread? I don't know.
I guess, yeah, they burn it, burn it.
It's a good guess, isn't it? But there are other things. So there is something called, is it AD? So anaerobic digester. So let's look up that. So AD, um, AD digester. Di, for, there we go. So garden waste. So AD digester for garden waste. Is AD normally it just stands for anaerobic digester or digestate. So it sort of lets it rot in a kind lets it rot down. It uses normal or sort of natural sort of bacteria to eat the green plant. It sort
Okay,
of rots down naturally, sort of thing.
it's looked like some liquid, yeah, and
Can do, yeah, yeah.
we sprayed on a weeds at our garden, yeah, for example, and it stop the weeds growing, yeah.
That sounds more like a weed killer. I think what you're
Ah,
talking about there. But
okay,
there's a
yeah,
machine here. I got hiccups. Excuse me. So I'm not suggesting this. I'm saying I'm wondering if this is what they do.
yeah. Okay, now I got it. Yeah, yeah, now I got it.
But they are
Yeah,
talking about wastewater here. Wastewater. Sometimes they have it on a farm and all the animal waste, basically poo, goes in
yeah.
there and it rots down. There's lots of bacteria in poo, of course, and certain fluids come out and certain gases come off. and you can use it for making electricity and sort of other
Yeah,
fuels, I
yeah,
think.
yeah, sure. Yeah.
So that's an anaerobic digester. So it sort of naturally is a special kind of natural rotting down, but you sort of encourage it by doing it. You give it special sort of added power. I guess really that probably wouldn't work for the plants, I think, really, unless it
Yeah,
was
it's probably too expensive, I think.
yes. Okay, so let's end it there then.
Yeah, yeah, let's
Let's call it a
indeed.
day because you may be busy soon,
Yeah, I will, yeah.
busy eating. So we'll leave it there.